Welcome back to the Kuhner Report. And right now, my friends, you're going to hear some clips of my speech at the rally on Saturday. Kuhner country. For those of you that don't know me, you can hear me every morning, Monday to Friday, 6 to 10 a.m. on the great WRKO. I'm Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. My friends, before I begin with my speech, our nation, I believe, is in peril.
Yeah. You think?
Our republic is on its back. We now face a mortal invasion that I believe threatens the very fabric, the very security, and in many ways the very heart and soul of our country. And throughout our history, going back to our revolution, our founding fathers always asked for divine guidance. To guide us every step of the way, we band of patriots. Whatever religious faith you are welcome here in the United States. And you are more than welcome here at Kuhner country. However, because I am a Christian, a Catholic, I will pray in my faith tradition in Jesus Christ's name. So I ask all of you, as we have done in this nation for hundreds of years, going back to our inception, let us now all join together, humbly in prayer, bow our heads, and ask God to guide this great republic. And let us say our Lord's Prayer in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. My friends, before I get to my actual speech, I want to say a couple of words of acknowledgement. There was a very kind person that came up to me just before when I came in, just before the event started, and said that she has an 81-year-old husband. He's in a wheelchair. He listens to the Kuhner Report devoutly, faithfully. He would love to make it, he just cannot. John, I want you to know you are well represented here today. I want to thank, obviously, everybody who's spoken today, all of the great politicians and candidates, people who have the courage to speak their convictions and defend our republic in its moment of peril. I also want to give a special shout out to the employees at Market Basket. Many of them are here today. Kuhner country showed up for you yesterday, and you held your word, and you showed up for us today. But above all, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, when I see this army in front of me, and I see them black and white, Hispanic, young, old, men, women, Americans, children, adults, rich, poor, veterans, our great veterans, legal immigrants like Jeff Kuhner, that when I raised the alarm, when I called out for all of you to come, and I see so many of you here standing by me shoulder to shoulder, I cannot tell you, honestly, God is my witness, how honored, humbled, and touched I am. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. May God bless every one of you. Thank you. Honestly, thank you. Thank you. Sorry if I get a little emotional. Think about my children. My 4-year-old Ashton, my miracle from Minnesota, my adopted boy. I call him my pride and joy. My sweetheart, I call her my happiness. My 1-year-old Ava, who we adopted from the mountains of Utah. This country has been so good to me. You gave me my children. When I see what is being done to this nation, when I see how our sovereignty is being trampled, how we are being invaded, how our great Constitution, the greatest document of human liberty in the history of the world, is being deliberately ignored and flouted by these gangsters at the governor's office and in the Oval Office. I would not be a man. I would not be a citizen. I would not be an American if I didn't say enough is enough. I understand the radical progressive Democrats have their agenda. I understand. You know I don't agree, but I understand. They want open borders to bankrupt and fundamentally change and transform this country. I understand. But what I don't understand, and I'm calling them out right now in public, is when our supposed our side stands and supports Governor Deval Patrick Mini-Me to house 1,000 illegal immigrants right here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and I'm talking about, you know him. Charlie, where are you, Baker? Chuckles. Charlie. I don't see you, Charlie. Where are you? My friends, what is at stake here today? Why we are here today is why there are rallies like this in almost every state, every city, every town across the United States of America. There is now a middle American revolution taking place. You saw and heard the mayor of Lynn, Judy Kennedy. I asked the liberal media in the state, I asked Mini-Me, and all of his liberal progressive poodles and henchmen, does that look like a racist to you, Mini-Me? Does this look like some extremist to you, Mini-Me? Diablo Patrick. This is a mayor, an American, of a multi-ethnic, multicultural, urban city, a working class city, that is essentially saying, no mas, no more. Our schools are overwhelmed. The classes are overflowing. Our hospitals emergency rooms are at the breaking point. We now know, it's been well documented, diseases. Many of these undocumented immigrants are bringing in tuberculosis, measles, chickenpox, scabies. Many of them are crawling with lice. There's even reports of swine flu. We need this in our communities. We need this in our own schools. Hold on 1 second, Mike. We have somebody who's slightly fainted. We just want to make sure she's okay. She's an elderly woman. Can we...
When you want to talk, you can do it here.
The hubris of these guys. It boggles the mind.
On AM 680 WRKO.
But above all, and I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, when I see this army in front of me, and I see them black and white, Hispanic, young, old, men, women, Americans, children, adults, rich, poor, veterans, our great veterans, legal immigrants like Jeff Kuhner, that when I raised the alarm, when I called out for all of you to come, and I see so many of you here standing by me shoulder to shoulder, I cannot tell you, honestly, God is my witness, how honored, humbled, and touched I am. From the bottom of my heart.
824 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Well, you heard parts of my speech that I delivered at Saturday's rally. Smashing success. Fox News covered it. Drudge Report gave a major link to it. Blaze did a lead story on it. In fact, I just finished doing an interview on their morning show at the Blaze. They were even telling me there, they are absolutely heartened and stunned at the huge crowd that showed up in Kennedy country, in liberal Massachusetts, the bluest of blue states. They now say if Massachusetts is rebelling, then the whole country is rebelling. 617-266-6868 is the number. Jim, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Congratulations. I haven't been this excited in 2 or 3 years. I've been praying for something like this.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
This is amazing. It's wonderful. And, I mean, she's asking me what's the beef. I ain't got enough time to talk about the beefs we got here. But I think it's time that we go national. We got to take it right down to Washington. Pick a day in September. Let's go for it. We got them on the ropes. This is the time. This is it.
Jim, we got to keep pressing. I think there's no question about it. Look, there's a new CNN poll. CNN just came out with a poll in which now Americans said if they could do a do-over, if they could go back to 2012, if they could go in a time machine and go back a couple of years, the American people would now by a wide majority vote for Mitt Romney over the dear leader. Even CNN admitted, we were just stunned at the results. 53-44. That Romney would win with a whopping 9 percentage points. It would be a landslide. You now have a third in another poll saying they want Obama to be impeached. Wait till November. That number is going to go up to 40, 42, 43. And then when the American people really start seeing all of the radical designs and objectives that Obama has been trying to impose on this country, and all of the scandals, because now they can't control Congress, that number is going to grow and grow to 50, 55, 60%. He is a wannabe dictator. All we have to do is expose him. If we have the courage of our convictions and speak the truth, like the Boston Tea Party patriots during the Great Revolutionary War, we'll win. What you saw on Saturday was the opening shot of the Second American Revolution. This time, not against British tyranny, but against Obama's tyranny. 617-266-6868. Boston, your heritage of liberty lives on. Kevin, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Canadian-born Jeff Kuhner, you were the Ted Cruz of the North. You were the Mark Stein, the Ray Bork, the Don Cherry, the man that pulls it together. On Saturday, I just want to give also a shout-out for Mike putting on the national map, because in the industry, in the talk radio industry, unfortunately, there's a lot of cutthroat, but he went to the defense of Judy Kennedy, your producer that lives in Lynn, Linda that called, standing up for principle, and all the politicians that are following Canadian-born Jeff Kuhner's coattail assembly. On Saturday, what happened was a miracle, all from young to old, as you spoke about, elders that could only take an inch, a step at a time, to find their way up to the Massachusetts Capitol, the State House. It was remarkable. I, in my 50 years, never have seen such an audience, such a turnout. It goes back to 1986, the canonized Pope John Paul II, and if not prior to that, prior to my lifetime, was James Michael Curley. It was wonderful, and I'll never go to a Red Sox game, John Henry, to put us deep in the paper on B4, where they ran the story of the unforgotten ones, page after page after page on the Boston Sunday Globe. We were up to the Market Basket Rally, Jeff, and there was satellite truck after satellite truck. That's what should have been, but they're playing denial. And
it's not going to work.
All what you do, and thank you for all the security, better than the Secret Service. The eyes that were on you when watching that crowd, it was so deep. I want to commend those gentlemen that you had with you.
Oh, they're incredible. Those are veterans.
For a water to give a water to Shanna, he reached out. He saw me coming. He grabbed it from me, checked it out, opened it up for her as a gentleman. It was great.
It was great seeing you, Kevin, and thanks so much for your support, my friend.
You got it.
617-266-6868. No, these were veterans who emailed me and said, Jeff, we're volunteering. We want to give you security. We hear there's some death threats. These liberals don't scare us. These progressives don't scare us. And there was like a phalanx around me. You should have seen these guys. Many of them had tours in Afghanistan or Iraq. They said, Jeff, they mess with you, they mess with us. So I didn't need to wear a bulletproof vest. Honestly, I never felt safer in my life, especially Gunner. I want to give a special shout out to Gunner and to Brittany's dad. Just phenomenal security the two of them provided. 617-266-6868. My friends, the revolution is rising. And now the media is trying to marginalize and suppress the extent of the opposition. That's okay. Because when the Berlin Wall came down in 1989, all of the commies were caught off guard. Well, now the commies in this country, come November, are going to get caught off guard just as well. 617-266-6868, 831 on the Great WRKO. More with your calls next. 837 here on the Great WRKO, AM 680. Jeff Kuhner, the voice of the resistance. 617-266-6363 is the number. 617-266-6868 if you want to be part of the show. You can also text us at 680-680. Here are a couple of texts. This is from 603. Jeff, I hope that your rally was indeed the shot heard round the country, millions for border defense, not 1 penny for illegal immigration. Bingo, 603. This is from 978. Jeff, I'm a New Jersey Republican transplanted to Massachusetts 24 years ago. Saturday was the first time in those 24 years that I didn't feel alone in this radical liberal state. Thank you, Jeff, for giving me 2 hours of sanity and the truth. God bless you and your family. 978, God bless you and your family for showing up. And that's what I've been saying for a long time. We're not alone. There's an army of us out there. We've just been marginalized, divided, ignored for too long, alienated for too long. But like a rising insurgent political guerrilla army, like the Patriots of 1776, my friends, we're popping out of the woodwork, and the liberal regime doesn't know what to do. 617-266-6868 is the number. This is from, this is funny, 781. Jeff, it's time to seal your academic and birth records so you can gain national presence. This is from 774. Jeff, what is happening? This is a dead on, absolutely dead on text. Jeff, what is happening is our government is at war with its people. You nailed it. Our government, whether it be the dear leader in Washington or mini-me here, is conducting a war against its own people. And that's why the peasants have said enough is enough. This is from 508. Jeff, you are a legal immigrant. You love America and you spoke the truth. 3 things the libs despise. If you use the power of your microphone to spew hate for this country, the libs would love you. God bless you, Jeff. No, God bless you, 508. No, of course. Do you know how many Canadians there are at Harvard? How many professors? Or in the Ivy League or in universities all across the country? Do you know how many of them are left-wing journalists? Oh, then they have a right to freedom of speech. Oh, no. Then they have a right to the First Amendment. They pay taxes. Suddenly it's not a problem if you're a Canadian. But if you happen to defend America, denounce the corruption and insanity of liberalism, defend our borders and our language and our culture, stand up for the people of Massachusetts and the United States, then suddenly you're Marshall Hook, the assignment news editor at Channel 7, which was the only media outlet that refused to cover our rally. And why? According to Marshall Hook, he's the guy that gives out the assignments. He went out on Twitter at Marshall Hook. That's his Twitter handle. Marshall is with 2 L's. M-A-R-S-H-A-L-L. Marshall Hook. H-O-O-K, like a hook. A Canadian citizen living in the U.S. held an anti-immigration rally today. And then he links to the Webster definition of the word hypocrisy. Is that all you people have? Is that all you have? Is to now go after my nationality? What, my ethnicity? The fact that I'm of Croatian heritage? What, the fact that I'm a Catholic, that I'm a Christian? That I said the Lord's Prayer before the keynote speech? That offends you so much that now you're basically saying I don't have a right to speak? I don't have a right to hold a rally? I don't have a right to speak out? You'll take my taxes. You'll take my money. But suddenly, when it comes to me voicing my opinion on behalf of the people of this country, then all of a sudden, I'm a Canadian? Notice, now I'm a foreigner. But if I was Juan Kuhner, if I was a Mexican citizen living in the United States holding a rally, he wouldn't have uttered a word. Or if I was Jackie Chen, a Chinese citizen, living in the United States holding an anti-immigration rally, he wouldn't have said a word. Or if I was Bob Johnson, a Jamaican citizen, living in the United States holding an anti-immigration rally, he wouldn't have said a word. You bigot, you racist, you. No, it's because I'm Canadian. It's because what? I'm white? What? Because of what? My Croatian ancestry? What? Because I'm a Christian? Not only was this blatantly unprofessional, you don't want to cover a rally, that's your business. But to then expose your bigotry, to then expose your obvious political agenda, it's right there, as everybody knows who just looked at it for 10 seconds. Even the Boston Globe acknowledged it wasn't an anti-immigration rally, it was an anti-illegal immigration rally. In fact, the Globe admitted, we interviewed Hispanics, we couldn't believe it. We interviewed African Americans, we couldn't believe it. We interviewed legal immigrants who came, said, no, come in legally, respect this country, do it the right way. How many immigrants can America take? That's how many you take. But you don't overwhelm her. You don't bankrupt her. Because you see, if you're an illegal immigrant, let me set the record straight. You're not a, quote, undocumented worker. Legal immigrants are documented workers. You see, we have documents that we can be here, giving us a right to be here, as we work our way to become what we want, citizens of this great country. If you're an illegal immigrant, you're a criminal. Because you broke law after law after law after law. So, are we a nation of legal immigrants? Based on the rule of law and the Constitution? That's the essence of the issue. Or are we a nation of criminals and lawbreakers? Now, they know they're wrong. They don't have a counter-argument. They don't. The facts are against them. History is against them. The truth is against them. The evidence is against them. So what do they have left? Smears. Bigoted slanders and smears. Or lies. 10,000 ralliers, 10,000 protesters is now 200. It's a small band, it's a fringe band, it's barely 200, barely 200. It's a wedding. It was a wedding. It was a wedding or a bar mitzvah. That's all it was on the steps of the State House. And then we released the pictures. And Drudge linked to the pictures, and everybody was like, oh my God, Massachusetts is on fire. And then the Blaze, and then Fox News, and then the local media had to cover it. They had no choice, except Channel 7. Because Marshall Hook hates Canadians. Oh, he loves them for the Boston Bruins. Don't get me wrong, half the team is full of Canadians. No, that's all. Do you hate Bobby Orr too, Marshall? Oh, no. When you go to the movies and you watch Jim Carrey, oh, no, then Canadians are good, huh? When you see Dan Aykroyd, no, Canadians are good. William Shatner, when you watch Star Trek, oh, no, Canadians are good. Bill Belichick, when he wins you a Super Bowl, oh, I love Croatians. Oh, do you know that Bill Belichick is of Croatian descent? Oh, I love Croatians. But then, if he happens to be an America First conservative, a nationalist, a constitutionalist, an American who loves this country with all of his heart and all of his soul, when you're an America Firster, oh, then suddenly, he's a Canadian. This man is an embarrassment. Even by the standards of Channel 7, and I know those are low standards, even by those standards of Channel 7, this man is an embarrassment. It's unprofessional, it's unethical, and frankly, it's bigoted. And it's about time the liberal left paid a price. You know, they listen to conservatives. They try to get Rush off the air. They try to marginalize Glenn Beck. They try to get rid of Savage, Levin. They listen to me, I swear, like lunatics in an asylum. Every word, every comma. What did he say? Can this be construed as racist? Can this be construed as sexist? Can this be construed as chauvinist? I think we got him with that one word. Like the Stasi. But you can peddle this kind of hate on Twitter? As the so-called assignment editor of Channel 7 News? And how is this guy not fired? How has this guy not lost his job? For those of you, you can reach him on Twitter, Marshall Hook, Marshall Hook. The number at WHDH TV Channel 7 News, 617-725-0777, 617-725-0777. Lines are loaded. Ron, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Good morning to you, Jeff. I know that your phone lines are absolutely packed. I'll keep it brief. When you were giving your keynote address, I was standing about 8 feet away from you to your left, and I recorded the last 2 minutes, 45 seconds of your address, which to me was just unbelievable. And I did a slow pan, 180 degrees, across the entire crowd from one end to the other because the vantage point was so good. And I actually, my stomach fluttered because the crowd size was jaw-dropping, Jeff. It was absolutely jaw-dropping. And I just want to say something really quickly regarding Marshall Hook and Channel 7. This is just classic professional envy, Jeff. Marshall Hook couldn't get 3 people to meet him for lunch, let alone do what you pulled off today. And I don't mean to put you on the spot or embarrass you, but I can't think of another broadcaster in Massachusetts on TV, radio, or any other media that could have accomplished what you did. And we are from here on out. To Marshall Hook, this is what hypocrisy is. When you ignore the single largest event to ever take place outside the State House and have the nerve to run Channel 7 promos that sounds like this. When major news stories break in Boston, Channel 7 and its crack team of reporters are always there to get you the facts and bring you the truth, because we care about Boston. I mean, we're going to laugh for the rest of our lives when we hear those promos, Jeff. God bless you, and congratulations on an unbelievable thing.
Thank you, buddy, and we missed you, Ronnie. Call back again, my friend. Steve, you're up next on the Kuhner Report. Go ahead, Steve.
Jeff, kudos for a great rally. It was unbelievable. I wasn't there, but 2 quick points is, one, I'm a small contractor. I've hired immigrants, Guatemalans, Brazilians, but legal immigrants, and they're hard-working people, and kudos to them. They did it the right way. We've got to pound home the message that it's illegal immigration we're against. Illegal. Not legal, but illegal. And for Marshall Hook to do what he did, he ought to be ashamed of himself.
Amen. Amen, Steve.
And one other thing, Jeff.
Sure.
I was on vacation this week, and these are one of the 2 biggest vacation weeks of the summer. I think you would have had double the crowd if it were any other time.
Oh, I know. Steve, that's what I said. I was so touched. Honestly, I thought if we had a couple thousand people, I would have been ecstatic. When I saw how many people showed up in the middle of July, or the end of July, to be specific, at the end of July, in the middle of the summer, in the middle of the day on a weekend, on a beautiful day. 10,000? I'm telling you, this state in overwhelming numbers is saying no mas, no more. And to see that, we're going to try to contact her later on in the show, that poor woman who fainted during my speech. We have her daughter's number, so we're going to call her. I want to send her something, a big thank you from me to her. There were elderly people who were there in the sweltering heat. One woman fainted. Luckily, we had emergency people come, took her in an ambulance. She's fine. There were other elderly people. It's one of the reasons why I cut the rally short. I didn't want other people fainting. That people would come for our rally in that kind of heat, even though it could be a threat to their own health. You have no idea how it touched me. My friends, we will take our state back, because the silent majority is silent no more. 617-266-6868 is the number. 852 on the Great RKO. More with your calls next. 8:58 here on the great WRKO. Glenn, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Hello.
Hi, Glenn, you're on the air.
How you doing, Jeff? The Lafayette of the Second American Revolution. I was at the rally, and it was spectacular, and thank you, and I got to meet you. They didn't say it was like a rock star going off the stage. You were like trying to get to a rock star. You did such a fabulous job.
Oh, thank you very much, Glenn.
And you met me in the Dunkin' Donuts. I had to follow just to thank you. And you'll probably remember me. But, Jeff, that was spectacular, and thank you for hugging that World War II veteran. I saw you do that. You stopped in your tracks and hugged him.
Oh, I love those guys.
You are the man, and thank you once again, and I'm glad to know you and honored. The Lafayette, like I say, of the Second American Revolution.
You're the best. Glenn, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. 617-266-6868. Carol, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Go ahead, Carol.
Hi, Jeff. I was there on Saturday. It was a fabulous rally. And, Jeff, you are the red, white, and blue bulldozer. You blew it out of the park. It was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Carol, honestly, I'm just speaking from the heart. I mean, really, I'm just the guy behind the microphone. I say this to people all the time. I put my pants on one leg at a time, and my kids never listen to me. I'd love for my kids to listen, and my wife and my kids to listen to me. I'm just an ordinary guy behind the microphone, just speaking from the heart, honestly.
Well, it just shows what one man can do when he really believes in the truth. And, Jeff, I want to tell you, I called Channel 7 News, and I asked to speak to the man who signs Marshall Hook's paycheck. And they said, well, he'll be in at 9 o'clock, and that's the general manager, and his name is Chris Whalen. And I think everyone should call him this week, just really lay into them and call him this week and next week until that guy is outed. That guy needs to leave, and I think you should encourage listeners to call the State House all this week and next week and really flood their phones.
Carol, that is great advice. Look, the people of this state are against this overwhelmingly, as are the people of this country. If we speak up and have our voice heard, the elites will and must back down. Now, if Channel 7, if they don't want to cover the rally, that's their business. But if they're going to have their news assignment editor stand there and take bigoted pot shots at me for just holding a rally, my friends, that's not only unprofessional. That's not only disgraceful. That's bigoted. And that has no place in the newsroom. The number for WHDH, Channel 7 News, TV Channel 7, 617-725-0777, 617-725-0777. Let them know what you think about Marshall Hook. 901 on the great WRKO. My friends, huge news, huge developments. You want to know why the rally was so important on Saturday? You're not going to believe what Obama now wants to do regarding illegal immigrants. Don't touch that dial.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
Executing assigned host duties flawlessly because I can't do wrong.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.
906 here on the great WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2. Hour 4, the Kuhner Report, 617-266-6868. If you want to be part of the show, you can also text us 680-680. Huge developments that Obama is now planning regarding illegal immigration, unprecedented. It now has Congress in an uproar. It now has talk of impeachment flying everywhere across Washington. But before I get to that explosive story, we're now joined by Holly Robichaud. She is a columnist, writer at the Boston Herald. She, in fact, wrote her column in today's Herald on Saturday's rally. Holly was there in person. Holly, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Oh, sure. Thanks for having me on.
So, Holly, you were there. The liberal media, Boston.com initially, CBS, even the Herald, when they put up the video, claimed that only several hundred people showed up at the rally. What was your estimate of the size of the crowd when you were there?
There was people further than you could see. Everywhere. I mean, I have it down to about 8,000 to 10,000 that I thought that was there. I've heard higher estimates, but I had a good friend call me on Saturday. He goes, well, you really tried. I heard that only 400 people showed up, and I said, where did you hear that? And he said, on WBZ, and I said, no. I was like, you couldn't, and I sent him a video of the people, and he's like, oh, I cannot believe how many people showed up, and he goes, and it's being reported so differently on the air. So, I mean, I think they're trying to downplay it, and if they want to downplay it, so be it. They'll hear us at the ballot box in November.
Bingo. Absolutely bingo. Now, Holly, before I get to the meat and potatoes of your column, as usual, an absolutely dynamite column. One of the reasons why I chastised the reporter at Boston.com when she called me for an interview, because she initially said it was several hundred, and I called her a liar. I openly called her a liar. And she was very offended. She said, why are you calling me a liar? And I said, because you lied. I said, look, you claimed there were several hundred people at the rally. It's just factually inaccurate. I have pictures that show thousands. I have police officers who told me over 10,000. Pictures don't lie. And I said, the reason is this, is when the governor sits down to have his coffee in the morning, or he's briefed by his aides, he's going to look at the papers and they're going to say, a couple hundred people showed up at Beacon Hill. That's a couple hundred people. So when Mini-Me thinks about illegal immigrants, invaders, and thinking about housing them in Cape Cod or in Chicopee, he's going to say, screw them. There's only a couple hundred that showed up. But if he reads and finds out it wasn't 200-300, it was 10,000, he's going to say, oh my God, I've got an uprising. I've got an insurrection on my hands. That's why reporting the truth is so important. Now, to her credit, she changed the numbers. But what I couldn't believe, Holly, was how many reporters are in the tank for the governor and for the Democrats. They might as well be working as their communications people.
The Boston Globe is no longer a newspaper. It's a newsletter. And it's a newsletter for the Democrats. I mean, I called you last week, Jeff, to complain about the story that they had done on the gas tax ballot initiative. That they were so sided, they called Mass DOT officials, which, are openly campaigning on state time against us. They called another group that is opposed to us. They didn't even call the people that initiated the ballot question. For their, for even, I understand that they're very liberal and they're one-sided, but they didn't even call us, Jeff. I mean, that paper, I've just kind of had it, and I can't believe that the story about the rally wasn't front page of at least the Metro section, if not the entire paper, with how many people have been there. I've been to a lot of rallies. There were more people at that rally than I've ever seen. I think that was a bigger rally than even the unions could produce in this state. It was huge, and it was people on a Saturday, a hot Saturday, that would have rather been at a beach, okay, and they are very angry about the situation. They're angry about $2 billion of our taxes being wasted. They're angry about our taxes being raised and being told we have to pay more for illegal immigrants, okay? And they are angry at this governor for, one, lying about the plane loads, and then, two, trying to mislead us to say that, don't worry, the federal government's going to pay for it. Well, we're not a bunch of morons. We know we pay for the federal government. And I am sick to death of this governor insulting our intelligence.
Holly, Mark Fisher spoke. We invited him. We also invited, as you know, Charlie Baker. Both of them are candidates, Republican candidates for governor. Fisher showed up. Charlie Baker didn't. Why do you believe Charlie Baker didn't show up? And do you think he made a very serious mistake in not being at the rally?
It breaks my heart. Yeah, I think it was a huge mistake for him not to show up. I will report that Karen Polito was down on the Cape campaigning with Tank the Gas people down there over the weekend, but it breaks my heart. I think he's on the wrong side of this issue. I mean, we've got to be united on this situation. And, when you've got the mayor of Lynn there, I think that, that Charlie Baker should have definitely been there. It was a huge missed opportunity. He's wrong on this issue, and it breaks my heart.
Holly, you wrote about it in your column. What for you was the essence of the meaning of the rally? Why were people there, and what was the essence of their message?
No more. They don't want to be paying any more for illegal immigrants, okay? And that they expect that our governor will enforce our laws, okay? And that we're a nation of laws and borders, and that people are just sick of being abused by this liberal administration and telling us that that they aren't coming in, and they are coming in, and that they want our immigration laws enforced. Okay, and that people that have waited in line, that they should be allowed to come in, but people that are running across our borders shouldn't. And they're really sick of it. I think the bigger thing, Jeff, is that things cannot just end on Saturday. We got the rally done. We got, so many people out there. But all of those people that were out there and all those people that couldn't make it have to take the next step. And the next step is to get behind the candidates that will hold this administration accountable, that will go up there and be vocal and fight. We don't need any more milquetoast Republicans up there that won't stand up and say the right things. We need Republicans like Sean O'Connell and Jeff Deal and Mark Lombardo and Leah Cole up there fighting us, and we need another, 50 of them. And so I really want to have your listeners, they've got to get behind these state legislative candidates that are out there working for with us on these issues, like Jeff Bailey, who's running down in Attleboro, and Tim Hempton, who's running in Norwood, and Lou Venezola, who's running in Rockland, and Jim Pavlik, who's running in Marshfield, and Carolyn Caruso, who's running in Winchester, and Les Gossel, who's running in Quincy. People have to get behind these candidates that will stand with us at the State House, not go and cower, not go and say, well, we need to compromise. No. We need to hold the summit. No. We need people that will stand on the State House stairs and rally with us and fight inside that State House.
Well, let me ask you this then, because you're somebody who, your beat is to cover the Republican Party. You're a well-known strategist. You write a column. It's called The Lone Republican Columnist. Basically, you're somebody who writes about the Republican Party. You know the state GOP inside and out. Where does Brad Jones, House Minority Leader, fit into all this? Is he a fighter, or is he somebody that needs to go?
He held a summit on Thursday, and I don't think a summit is going to get the job done for us. I think you need to be protesting. I think you need to have your voices heard loud and clear. On Wednesday, State Representative Ryan Fatman was the one trying to lead a resolution demanding that the governor take the input from legislators on this, and it got sidestepped. I mean, I see all these other members leading on these issues, and I think that's what we need, is more people that will actively join into the fight, not go along to get along.
Holly, final question. I agree with you 110%. We need to start supporting people who stand with us, who are willing to stand up and fight against this illegal invasion taking place. Charlie Baker is not with us on this all-important, crucial issue. Should we Republicans not support Charlie Baker?
I think everybody needs, look, Charlie Baker is is standing with me on the gas tax. He has been with me on the gas tax from the beginning. So I think people need to, take that into consideration. Okay. I cannot defend him on this, on illegal immigrations, but I've known Charlie for many years. And when he was the Secretary of A&F, he was one of these people that was leading the fight against welfare fraud, and he worked for the administration that cut taxes 41 times. So with this one issue, I am not throwing him under the bus.
We have been talking with Holly Robichaud. Check out her column in today's Boston Herald. She absolutely nailed it, talked about the rally extensively and how much damage illegal immigration and Governor Deval Patrick have done to the Commonwealth. Holly, great column. Thanks so much for coming on the Kuhner Report.
Thank you.
Take care, Holly. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, my friends, brace yourselves. You don't want to know why the rally was so important? because we're trying to head them off at the pass. Here is now what is happening. All right, please give me your undivided attention now for about the next 3, 4, 5 minutes. We are now being invaded. These are not illegal immigrants. At their core, they're invaders. There are now 60,000 of them that have been dumped. The estimate is it's going to be almost 90,000 by the end of this year. They're talking another 160,000 next year. That's just unaccompanied minors from Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador. There are so many diseases coming in. Check out this story. Okay, check out this story. This is now from the BBC. Now you're going to find out many of these stories are not being reported in the American media. You have to go to the European media to find out what's really happening because the liberal media is so in the tank that they're trying to suppress and marginalize what's happening in this country. According to the BBC, citing California law enforcement authorities, there is now an arrest warrant being issued for an illegal immigrant, a Mexican man, Eduardo Rosas Cruz. He's a homeless Mexican living in California who they have now found because he went into a hospital in March. He went into a local emergency room. He was diagnosed with tuberculosis. Now you may say, Jeff. So what? A lot of these people coming in have diseases. We know that. No. He apparently has a drug-resistant form of tuberculosis. He has a drug-resistant strain of tuberculosis. And now they're worried that this could lead to a major public health epidemic in California. They are now desperately looking for him. That's why you don't have unsecured borders. That's why you don't allow anybody to come in, because you end up jeopardizing your own citizens. But it gets worse. According to the front of the Drudge Report, it's their lead story. Hat tip to WorldNet Daily. The Border Patrol is now admitting they were doing, there's an investigation going on by WorldNet Daily reporters along with Congressman Steve Stockman, Republican from Texas. Border Patrol agents in Texas are now saying that one after another, thousands after thousands after thousands of all of these supposed unaccompanied minors now cross the border. And the moment they cross the border, they say, we want citizenship, we want permiso, a permit, we want health care, Obamacare, and, quote, Obama will take care of us. They're now looking as Obama, as I've been calling him, the dear leader, the paternalistic father of the nation that will take all of them in and give them health care, give them welfare, give them EBT cards, give them benefits, give them a permiso, a permit, and Obama will take care of us. This is what they, literally, that's what they keep repeating. Obama will take care of us. Here. I don't usually get into the political part of it, quote unquote, explained Chris Cabrera, now a vice president in the National Border Patrol Council. He's a union member, Local 3307. He continues, but I find it odd that their whole thing is, quote, we are going to get amnesty when we get here. Where is my permiso? Where is my permission to go north so I can get my medical care and my schooling and all that? President Obama is going to take care of us and make sure we are all okay. According to this vice president of this Border Patrol union, he continues, Chris Cabrera, quote, whether it's the adults or the young kids, the one thing we consistently hear is Obama will take care of us. It's political. It's deliberate. And what is Obama doing? He is deliberately importing millions upon millions of the underclass into this country to permanently change the electorate, to create a one-party Democratic mafia state. Now, many of you are going to say, Jeff, oh my God, you're so paranoid, Jeff. How could you say that? Jeff, come on now. Come on, Jeff. Check out this. This is now his most revolutionary and radical act of his entire presidency. This is now where he's making his play to create a socialist dictatorship here in America. According to the Friday edition of the Los Angeles Times, seeing now that he's going to be wiped out in the November midterm elections, seeing now that the American people are staunchly against any attempt at amnesty, that it cannot pass Congress, the American people don't want it. He is now going to seize on this crisis on the border to now do, I kid you not, amnesty by executive fiat and executive order. In particular, the option, according to the Los Angeles Times, that the dear leader is looking at is to protect from deportation nearly half of the people who are in the United States already illegally. In other words, a minimum of 5 million. And the way he's going to do it is he wants to let the parents of U.S.-born children gain temporary legal status and be given a work visa and eventually a path to citizenship. So you came in illegally over the last couple of decades, you end up having a child here. Not only will your child be given amnesty, but so will the parents of the children. And so, according to the Los Angeles Times, one of those proposals will now shield 5 million illegal immigrants from deportation and enabling many of them now to get work visas and to stay and eventually get legalized status. It's amnesty through the back door. Forget the 800,000 dreamers that he gave amnesty to in 2012. He's now going to give it to 5 million, unilaterally, circumventing Congress, violating the Constitution. This is clearly illegal, never mind being immoral. And as Congressman Stockman of Texas said when interviewed, he said he's literally begging to be impeached. He's being so brazen, so abusing his power, so exceeding his authority, that is he looking to get impeached? And maybe he's doing this because he knows by starting a race war, by so inflaming the African American community that he will be impeached, that maybe that's his only way to save his political bacon come November. My friends, we have a dictator in the White House. And it's time we taught him. This is in Mexico. This is the United States of America. And here the president is not above the law. 9:25 on the great RKO. More with your calls next. Mike, you're up next on the great WRKO. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Jeff, congratulations on a successful rally. Jeff, what was conspicuous as to the rally as who wasn't there? And Holly Robichaud, she gave us a litany of who we should vote for and why. These milquetoast Republicans are not the way to go. And what does Holly do? She touts Charlie Baker. You talk about milquetoast. Now, the other guy that's running against him, he was there, was he, Jeff?
Yes, Mark Fisher was, yes.
Mark Fisher was there. Now, whether or not Holly has a personal axe to grind with this guy, Mark Fisher did come on your show. He named names. You didn't agree with him. I was quite skeptical, but the fact of the matter is, going forward, are we going to continue with the milquetoast? And by the way, Barbara Anderson wasn't there. Richard Tassay wasn't there. Hey, Jeff, let me tell you something as a personal friend. Jeff.
Go ahead, shoot, Mike.
They wouldn't touch Jeff Kuhner with the 10-foot pole, these rhinos. And Holly Robichaud, she better get on to herself. Get rid of Charlie Baker. He's not the guy we need.
Thank you so much for that call, Mike. 617-266-6868. Where's Charlie? 9:30 on the great WRKO. More with your calls next. 9:38 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. My friends, so you have the liberal media, mini-me, the dear leader, continuing to push and peddle the fiction, the utterly BS false narrative that these are all children. That this is just simply a humanitarian crisis. Now we're finding out, there's a story out of California. California law enforcement has admitted there's now a Mexican illegal homeless man. He went into an emergency room. They've lost track of him. He has a drug-resistant form of tuberculosis. He's on the loose. We now know that thousands of them coming in have TB, smallpox, the measles, scabies, swine flu has been detected. We now know that. Governor Rick Perry has now come out and said over the last 5 years, official Texas state statistics, over 100,000 illegal immigrants have been arrested for thousands of murders and thousands of rapes. Many of them are coming here to murder, rob, and rape. These are official, these are facts. Now we're finding out that the dear leader wants to unilaterally circumvent Congress, violate the law, abuse his power, and now give amnesty unilaterally to 5 million illegals. Saying, well, if the parents came illegally, but they had their children in the United States, then the children get to stay and the parents get to stay. By the way, with work visas. All of them. You think that 1,000 at Cape Cod? At that military base in Bourne? Or the Air Force, the Air Reserve base in Chicopee? That's just the beginning. It's going to be an endless tidal wave. And as I've told you, Border Patrol statistics say nearly 90% of the people crossing are teenagers. Yes, there are children on top of the 60,000, but they're coming with their mothers. The 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds that you see, they're with a parent, usually their mother. They're on top of the 60,000. But that's 60,000, most of them, 90% of them, are teenagers. Well, now, like I said, if you want the truth, you have to go to the British media or the European media. So, big hat tip to the Daily Mail. According to the Daily Mail, they are now citing multiple Homeland Security sources. Border Patrol agents have been pressured by Obama to not reveal that many of these so-called unaccompanied minors are in fact gangbangers and members not only of the drug cartels, but of vicious gangs like MS-13. In fact, there's a picture up on Drudge of a whole gang of them, covered, their face and bodies covered in tattoos, gang paraphernalia. These animals we're going to be bringing into our country. This is the same MS-13 that is engaged in drug war after drug war, slaughtering and murdering people on the streets of the United States and in Latin America, human trafficking, sex trafficking, rapes, robberies, armed burglaries, wanton slaughter and shooting on the streets. These are the animals that we need to come into the United States of America? Let me read to you the lead from the Daily Mail. Members of some of the United States' most notorious street gangs have infiltrated shelters housing illegal immigrant minors from Central America and are recruiting them, say Homeland Security sources. They go on to say that transnational gangs such as Mara Salvatrucha, also known as MS-13, and the 18th Street Gang are using established juvenile members from Central America to cross the border and recruit other children to the cartels, according to multiple Homeland Security sources. And one of the biggest one is a Red Cross phone bank at the facility at Nogales, Arizona, whereby these MS-13 gangbangers, and I got to tell you, honestly, they are physically, utterly disgusting. This MS-13 tattoos, they have tattooed all over their face with all kinds of writings and gang paraphernalia on their face, on their ears, on their heads, on their necks, on their chests, on their arms. I mean, they're covered in tattoos. And so now, according to multiple Border Patrol agents and Department of Homeland Security, they're under tremendous pressure by the Obama administration not to tell the media, but they said MS-13 is going there, especially in Arizona, quote, to recruit, enlist, and pressure other minors into crossing the border. It's an invasion. It's an invasion of criminals, of vicious gangbangers, of murderers, of rapists, of robbers, of burglars, of infectious diseases. And you want to know why this country maybe is doomed? Because the so-called conservative movement, especially inside the Beltway, the establishment right, is always willing to capitulate whenever there's tremendous pressure or the country is threatened. To always make sure that they stay on television and continue to write for magazines and newspapers and outlets like the Washington Post. People like George Will, inside the Beltway, so-called conservatives, open borders, free trade conservatives, who keep selling this country down the river, stand there with their glasses and their bow tie. The liberals' favorite conservatives, because they know deep down they're fifth columnists. On the big issues, it's surrender, surrender, surrender. And so here is George Will, in the face of this invasion. Yesterday on Fox News Sunday on the panel, was asked, well, George, where do you stand? Check out his answer. Nancy Pelosi couldn't have said it better. Roll it, Brittany.
Bond to Kirsten and her talking about Republicans who don't want to deal with immigration except deporting children. And is there a right way to deal with this problem?
Well, I think Kirsten's largely right. My view is that we ought to say to these children, welcome to America. You're going to go to school and get a job and become Americans. We have 3,141 counties in this country. That'd be 20 per county. And the idea that we can't assimilate these 8-year-old criminals with their teddy bears is preposterous. Long-term,
you've got to know. I mean, I can just sort of feel them clicking off that we're going to get tons of email of people saying this guy doesn't understand the border. Why should we be dealing with Central America's problem? We can't import the problem. They've got to deal with it there, and our border has to mean something.
We can handle this problem, is what I'm saying. We've handled what Emma Lazarus famously called the wretched refuse of your teeming shores a long time ago, and a lot more people than this. Long-term, the most effective legislation, Chris, passed concerning immigration wasn't an immigration bill at all. It was Bill Clinton's greatest act, passage of the North American Free Trade Agreement, which put the Mexican economy on the road to prosperity. We need to do something similar for the countries from which these children are fleeing, including the fact of trying to get Americans to quit consuming so much of the drugs that are imported from these countries.
Getting back to John Boehner's opening comment about...
Oh, that's enough, Brittany. This guy's incredible. Look, honestly, I never cared for George Will. I always thought his columns were verbose, flabby. He's basically a one-trick pony. I never thought there was much to him besides the bow tie and the glasses and the pretentiousness. But, first of all, what planet are you living on? We signed NAFTA in the 1990s. Has that helped stop the flow of illegal Mexicans crossing our border? For the last 20 years, George? What are you talking to me about? What are you smoking? No, really, honestly, what are you smoking? It's been a tidal wave after we passed NAFTA. And the only thing that's happened is Americans have lost their jobs and factories have been shipped down south. That hasn't stopped the Mexicans from coming up north. Now you want to cut a free trade deal with Central America? Well, I got news for you, George. There's something called CAFTA, the Central American Free Trade Agreement. That was Bush's pet project. How has that worked out, Georgie? And then look at him. Look, the bubble that they live in, this arrogance with his $2 million a year salary, with his house in Chevy Chase, his mansion in Chevy Chase, right near, by the way, Marcula. They all live in the same area. All of these Washington elites. And these supposed criminal 8-year-olds with their teddy bears. Really? How about those MS-13 gangbangers where you have to murder somebody as an initiation to get into the gang? How about the 8,000 murders committed by illegals in Texas by illegal immigrants? Georgie? How about the thousands of rapes? Georgie? And then he says, that's 20 per county. It's nothing. Hey, Georgie, they don't want to go to North Dakota and South Dakota and Wyoming and Idaho. Have you noticed that? They go to New York. They go to Boston. They go to Lynn. They go to East LA. They go to Chelsea. They overwhelm us here in the cities and increasingly in the suburbs. But they don't touch you in Chevy Chase, do they, Georgie? You want them so much? You got a big mansion in Chevy Chase? Take them. You got a second home in Hilton Head in South Carolina? Take them, Georgie. Oh, no. You want us to take them. You phony, you fraud, you. 617-266-6868 is the number. Do you agree or disagree with George Will? Has he betrayed the conservative movement? I say yes. What do you say, Boston? All of your calls. Next.
I think Kirsten's largely right. My view is that we ought to say to these children, welcome to America. You're going to go to school and get a job and become Americans. We have 3,141 counties in this country. That'd be 20 per county. The idea that we can't assimilate these 8-year-old criminals with their teddy bears is preposterous.
That was George Will basically saying, keep coming them down. Come on down. We can handle as many of them. We'll put them in counties, not in his county, not where he lives, not in Chevy Chase, but everywhere else. Now, speaking of counties, we got hit here with a massive thunderstorm. I mean, it was like pitch black here for about 20 minutes. I think things are starting to recover. We lost power, but have we still lost power, Brittany? We're fine now. The power's back on. However, there is a tornado warning for Essex County. So Salem, Lynn, Wakefield, Beverly, those areas, there is a tornado warning. Gloucester, Peabody, forgive me. Those areas on the North Shore, be careful. There's a tornado warning until 10:30. So don't step outside, stay indoors, lock the doors, close the windows. Get downstairs. No, I'm just kidding. But just be careful. 617-266-6868 is the number. Brittany says what? They really have to go downstairs? Yeah, if there's a tornado, but there's just a tornado warning. You know, I mean, look, if you see something that looks like a tornado coming your way, yes, go downstairs. No question about it. 617-266-6868 has been the number. Gary, I've got 1 minute. Go, my friend.
Jeffrey, when the people understand the president's sexual preference, they'll understand why he does everything through the back door. But let that go. If this is a humanitarian crisis, where is FEMA? Where is the Red Cross? The rally was fantastic, the best I've ever seen. The Republicans are finished. Why be penny wise and dollar foolish and save 3 cents on a gas tax and give $2 million to illegals? The Republicans are done, my friends. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Gary. My friends, we are the future. Middle America awoke on Saturday at the rally. They have awakened a sleeping giant. And my friends, we're taking no prisoners. I gotta go. You've been listening to Boston's Bulldozer, and remember, together, We're beating liberals one day at a time, and I'll be filling in for Michael Savage today at 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. So if you want to hear a double dose of Kuhner, you can hear me filling in for Savage later today. Bye.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
Executing assigned host duties flawlessly because I can't do wrong.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.